Don't be in, easy to break. Good evening. It's like 10:30 or so, and I have been out here in the shed, the glorious shed, which is slightly cleaner than it used to be. It's actually a lot cleaner than it used to be. I did some reorganizing, but that's not the point of this video. The point is that I just spent some time recording electric guitars. The last major bout of recording that I did was about a year ago, and all of the electric guitars on that project, which is this album called Inside Joke, were actually recorded direct through a cab sim. It's been a while since I actually mic'd amps and recorded them for a project, and that's what I wanted to do tonight. I had to shake off the rust, remember how I like to mic amps and stuff.
2 more inches to the right, pointed at the same angle.
Let me show you a few things that happened tonight so you can get a sense of what the process actually looked like. The first thing I did is decided on the sounds that I was going to use, and I settled on these 3 pedals. On the right there is a BYOC pedal kit that I assembled and then, characterized myself as the Bumble Fuzz monster. It's their classic fuzz kit. This is a Super Tone Bender variant by somebody who at least used to build pedals here in Atlanta. And then I had a trim on the board because I thought I was going to do some fun trim stuff, and then I didn't end up doing that. That was run into my Deluxe Reverb. One of the things that I am really focused on in this project is recording sounds that are easy to mix. I don't have a whole lot of tools available to me, and the tools that I do have in this unit, which is, is slightly more advanced than what I have used on other projects, I actually don't like the way that they work very much. I find them sort of difficult to deal with, so I'm just gonna try to get things right at the source, and that means that I don't want guitar sounds to have that much bass. So I'm just using an SM57, which helps a little bit with that, but one of the ways that I'm dealing with that is that I turned the bass all the way down on this amp. And then that's what I started with. So all the sounds that I dialed in used that setting. So the first thing I did is grab my Telecaster and picked one of these pedals. I ended up liking it with the Stone Blender, the Tone Bender variant. And then I cut the intro of this song. And then I knew I wanted to double track it, so I picked up another guitar, which is an old Ibanez Artcore. That it's actually the first real piece of gear that I ever bought with my own money. I'm gonna be honest, it's not the best sounding guitar, but that's okay. It sounded good enough for what I was trying to do, and I just dialed in a sound that I liked. So I actually used the other fuzz pedal with that guitar, had the bias kind of pulled back a little bit. Anyway, it sounded like this. And this is what the intro sounds like with those 2 guitars in place.
I have to turn on my speakers to show you anything.
Very happy with that sound. And then since I was holding the Ibanez, I just went ahead and recorded a pass of rhythm guitar, and then when I was satisfied with that sound, I just put that guitar down and picked up the Tele and did a pass of the exact same parts. Don't be in, easy to break. So let me give you a sample of what that sounds like in context. Not really anything else that's worth me showing you in what I recorded tonight. I'm happy that I don't think I blew it on any parts that I was recording. Hi, it's Next Day Jordan here to say 2 things. The first is that it's the next day, and I'm still happy with how those guitars sound. That is all you can really ever ask for. But I also want to just give a little bit more color about what actually happened when I went out into the shed last night to record. I went out there at just before 9 o'clock and I finished my recording and started like making video stuff at about 10:30. So in approximately an hour and a half, what did I accomplish? Well, what I have to show for it is 2 like guitar tracks that I'm going to be hard panning in the final mix and that I think sound pretty good. But actually, most of that hour and a half was taken up with actually like devise the intro, like figure out what I wanted to play. And then I did have to spend a fair amount of time dialing in sounds. And, you know, I gave a brief sort of snippet of what that looked like earlier in the video, though you didn't get to see everything. I mean, it is just a process, for me at least, of like putting a mic on an amplifier, playing the part you want to play with the sound that you think you want, and recording that and playing it back, and then adjusting something and recording that and playing it back. And I was like shouting sort of like location notes loud enough that the microphone could pick it up, so that when I went back through all of the things that I had recorded in sort of like a demo session, you know, I was able to say, oh, I think that's the position that I like the best, and put the mic there. That process had the added benefit of giving me an opportunity to actually practice the part that I had just written, which then, again, benefited me in the actual execution. I think I had a false start on the telly run through, but then everything else went pretty smoothly. When you take into account that entire process, I think I was actually able to capture those 2 guitar tracks pretty quickly, actually quite a bit more quickly than I really expected. And I have to give credit to myself, I guess, not for my chops or anything, definitely not, but because my attitude about how to record and what I'm expecting from the recorded tracks is, I guess maybe the best way for me to say it is that I think I'm quite a bit more lenient than many other people would be in the context of doing what's going to be a recording that I share with the world. And there are a bunch of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is that those 2 tracks are now final tracks in this recording. There aren't very many of those yet. There's a lot more recording that I'm going to do after this, and a lot more part writing that I'm going to do after this. The sound and actual techniques and execution of those 2 tracks is going to influence everything else that I do. So whatever imperfections exist in those recordings, they aren't necessarily imperfections. They're just like factors that then I can react to, and you don't have to work around them. You just work with them. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you're enjoying your music or whatever else you're doing with your life. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you around.